We may be geographically far removed from Zagreb and Split, but in Melbourne's southeast tonight, the Croatian influence is still more than prevalent. Two clubs united by their same shared patriotism for the same country are now rendered foes for 90 minutes and more, as these two clubs will put pleasantries aside for an evening at least to welcome in a new season. With both clubs refreshed and revitalised, a free-flowing and fast footballing frenzy should be on the menu, a tantalising entree for what is to come this season. Welcome to Frank Holohan Soccer Complex here in Dandenong for this NPL Victoria men's round one clash between the hosts Dandenong City and Melbourne Knights. I'm Oliver Walker-Peel to take this one for you, and alongside me is Lockie Flanagan. Lockie, how you doing tonight, mate?
How could I be anything but excellent, Ollie? Beautiful weather, a beautiful crowd here for this Crow derby. Of course, we do say it's a derby, but it is kind of a derby in name only because these two sides, united by their Croatian heritage, get along well, and it's going to be a great spectacle here in Dandenong with both sides with big goals. Knights, their goal to push further up towards the top of the table, and Dandenong City, their big goal this season to get away from the bottom.
Absolutely, and we'll take you through those lineups for you. We'll start with the host, Dandenong City. In goal is number 17, new signing, Pedro Formosa. Number 4, Nathan Cook. Number 5, Sean Timmins. Number 6, Kurt Kuaku. Number 8, Gavin Denise. Number 9, John McShane. Number 10, Delano Ferro. Number 18, Lucas Slavica. Number 23, the captain for tonight, in Steven Topalovic's absence, is Nick Kalmar. 27, Johnny Kowal. And number 30 is Martin Palinic. On the bench, Jasko Karanovic, Dominic Sepp, Cooper Legrand, Ardi Akmeti, Tassos Houndalas and Marco Delic. And for the visitors Melbourne Knights, they start in goal with number 21, Thomas Manos. Number 3 is Fuki Ishibashi. Number 4, Thierry Iradikunda. Number 5 is Aidan Bryce, the captain. Number 9 is Luka Tselik. Number 10 is Gian Albano. Number 12 is Andrew Robertson. Number 14, Anthony Frangi. Number 16, Mohamed Samaro. Number 17, Trevor Semakula. And number 18 is Jack Morton. On the bench, you've got Adam Basic, who is the substitute goalkeeper, Jack Marth, Attila Offley, James McGarry, Luca Kolich, and Steve Sokol, as we are ready to get underway here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex here in Dandenong. Dandenong City from right to left in their navy blue shirts, shorts and socks, and the visitors from left to right in all white as we are away in these two club seasons. As the sun begins to set on this February evening, a new dawn commences for two of Victoria's proudest football clubs. So much at stake for two sides, both looking to exceed expectations, aims for which an opening weekend win would be an ideal start. And it's Dandenong City who start well, set back, and the shot is wide in the end from Denise. Was well set up for him, but high, wide, and not so handsome. But a good start for the hosts.
Yeah, an early sighted goal for Gavin Denise. He doesn't mind testing himself from range, but it has been a big off-season. It's been over 200 days since our last game of competitive football here in the NPL, and clearly that range finder for Mr. Denise just still zeroing in. But a bright start for Dandenong City. And they're a new look Dandenong City as well. Lots of transfers both in and out for both sides that we see here today, Ollie.
5 new faces for the hosts, as Thomas Manos will take the goal kick here. It's been on the books at both Western Sydney and Sydney FC, as that one goes out of play for a Dandenong City throw.
Taken short, McShane with the flick on, straight to the Knights' defence. Cook under pressure from Selic, and all the way back to the new man in between the posts for Dandenong City this season, Formosa. Immediately looking for McShane. He lost out to Bryce. The headed clearance only as far as Delano Ferro, and now Dandenong City can take a chance to try and settle in possession. They are a very direct side under Mickey Choliner, as they have been under managers previously, and you suspect the counter-attack is what they're going to try and exploit today up against the Knights side, who will try and dominate, will try and possess the ball, as they're attempting to do now through Trevor Semakula. Ishibashi. Bryce. So we get a bit of relief from the sun on the broadcast side. Picked up that time by Frangi. The little twist and turn. Good ball forwards for Albano. Jinking one way and then the other. Cook getting the clearance. Out to Marth, and now back to Albano. Eventually Dandenong City are able to clear their lines, but not without a few questions being asked with respect to foul trouble. And speaking of it, John McShane picks one up just in front of the halfway line.
New signing from the Altona Magic, so the hosts weakening their division rivals while strengthening themselves. Ball back now with Nathan Cook, formerly of Green Gully and Northcote among others. Clips the ball downfield, looking in behind for Kual, who may well get there ahead of Ishibashi, and the shot is just wide of the right-hand upright. Really intelligent run from Johnny Kual, getting in behind with blistering pace, and unfortunately from his point of view, the shot veered just off target.
He's always electric, isn't he, Johnny Kual? He had a bright start to life, given a chance to step up into the NPL competition last season with Port Melbourne. Was in and out of the starting 11, but did pop up with a few goals, and he just always brings that energy into any side that he's a part of. I understand he was training with Dandenong City a few seasons ago and now finally gets a chance to pull on the navy blue shirt, and it's been a very bright start for him, as it has been where chances are concerned for City. And it's the visiting side, Knights, who have found themselves under the most pressure where goal threat is concerned. Ishibashi receiving the pass from Semakula. Happy to play it patiently, Melbourne Knights. It's been a new part of their tactical identity under Steve Bebic. Iradakunda rolled forwards for Albano, tried to take the no-touch turn and lost out to Kuaku. Strong challenge in there. Kalmar trying to send it forwards. Instead, the ball falls to the new man up front for Knights, Selic. That one's out wide. Sumayoro. He thought about the early cross. Instead, goes back to Jack Morton. Strong challenge from Gavin Denise. Iradakunda, the outside of the foot pass, no good. And now City can come the other way through Timmins. Searching ball is looking for Quol, who will end up picking it up off the deflection of Ishibashi, heading for the touchline. Two defender and the attacker in white and navy blue battling, and Dandenong City will get themselves a corner.
Really bright start this from the hosts. Quol looking to be an outlet, and so far he's proved to be that for Dandenong City. Using many bursts of pace to get in behind, and so far it has worked well as they've got a corner from the left. Dandenong City. Denise to shape it in towards the front post, flicked on by McShane, and back out for another corner, so two corners in quick succession for the home side.
McShane, sort of headers from set piece areas, it's his bread and butter, isn't it? The tall Scotsman. I was really impressed by, he didn't notch a huge amount of goals for Altona last year, just the two, but I was really impressed by his team play, and I think he'll be a great focal point for City as they prep themselves another corner. Sent in again by Denise. Rising again is McShane! And the opener thought it had been delivered, but the linesman's flag was up on the far side.
It's gone wide.
Oh, he's put it wide, in fact. Oh, the excitement of the Scotsman. I got a little bit ahead of myself. Thought he nestled that one into the back stick. But in fact, it was the wrong side of the post. The net. Just confusing me for a little bit. But McShane going close in two consecutive corners.
Tell you what, I was a little confused myself. But in the end, just wide of the right-hand post. And they've come close on a number of occasions now. It's just a case of whether that damn wall will burst soon enough, or whether the visitors can prevent it from doing so. It's back to goal now is Morton. Looks wide for Ishibashi, new signing from Manningham. This is played downfield, and there's a foot race. Robertson looks to try and win it, couldn't do so, but he's helped win his side a corner. And in the end, after all the momentum was going the way of the host, the visitors now get a little run their way themselves.
That was a strong tackle from Slavica. Robertson, another one of the new faces for Knights, has not been afraid to take things early. That cross is sent in. The flicked on. That is an amazing opening. Anthony Frangi, what a start to life at the Melbourne Knights. He took that cross, an inviting one, into the penalty area with aplomb. The side foot finish into the top bins. And Melbourne Knights are off to a cracking start here at Frank Holohan.
That is an absolute perler of a finish. Absolutely no chance in the end. And after the run of play was going all the way of Dandenong City, it's Pedro Formosa who's been beaten with an absolute stunner in the end from Anthony Frangi, the ex-Marconi player, making his mark on NPL Victoria with an absolutely wonderful finish. And against the run of play, Melbourne Knights lead on this Friday night, and it's up to Dandenong City to respond. That goal came out of absolutely nothing, but credit to Anthony Frangi for putting the ball in the back of the net and putting his side in front.
You're right, Ollie. It is harsh on Dandenong City. They've created the best of the chances inside the opening 10 minutes, but I think the phrase "start as you mean to go on" comes to mind when you think about that goal from Anthony Frangi. That is the best possible start you could hope for at a new club, a banging goal like that.
Chested down in the end from Selic. The ball's helped back now to Formosa. Looking to play the way out of trouble, but unable to do so. Ball now with Semakula. Out wide to Samaro, who looks to shape the ball in from the Melbourne Knights right. Headed away at the first opportunity. Chested down by Timmins, and now Dandenong City look to move the other way. Through Kalmar. Out wide now to Timmins, who looks to check, beats one. Ball back with Kalmar, muscled off it. Iradikunda, he goes in field. And now the Knights look to spread the play. McShane working back. Does he commit a foul? He does. And the referee, Lachlan Keevers, is going to his back pocket and will produce the first yellow card of the match. A little bit harsh, I think, on McShane, who was just looking to get back and do his defensive duties, but you can see exactly why it has been given. And that's the first yellow card of the game.
I guess it's the context that kind of decides it. There maybe was a counter-attacking opportunity on for Knights, and perhaps that influences the card. But I agree with you, Ollie. It does still feel a bit harsh for the big man, John McShane. Did have a few chances for Dandenong City, and you expect, despite the way that the goal has probably changed this game, that the Scotsman will get a few more as the game transpires. Semakula goes inside to Iradikunda. Ball sent in behind, looking for Sumayoro. The accuracy just off. And that pass into the front third, and now City can take it, but that's a careless pass. Frangi was bearing down on goal, and Formosa had to be alert, and he managed to get the danger clear. Albano, held up by Denise. Morton with the strong challenge, not enough to take back possession for the Melbourne Knights. As Kalmar goes down under pressure from Albano. And coming in from behind, that was always going to be an easy decision. Some good pressure from Melbourne Knights to win back possession. Semakula. Back to Ishibashi. Touch was a little bit heavy, but it was a nice shimmy to clear the marker. But he found himself under a lot of pressure, Iradikunda. And they're bringing the press now through Quoll. The cutback, in fact, he went for the near post, and maybe that was the wrong decision, Ollie, because he had McShane ready and waiting to tap home in the centre. It's
probably one apiece if John McShane is found there. But Quoll, who started this game very brightly, created a chance there, but was unable to restore parity and get us back where we started. Ball played laterally now to Ishibashi, who hasn't been given the easiest of times thanks to Johnny Quoll. Back with Manos. Field in the end, but out of play for a Melbourne Knights throw, which will be taken in the end by Semakula. It's another bite at the cherry. It's the 1-2 from Morton. Nice interplay, unable to work out for the Melbourne Knights. Ball back with Formosa, pressure in the end. Unable to lead to a goal, but good work from Selic to put the Argentine in Formosa under a bit of heat. Throwing taken short from Timmins. Kual looks to draw a free kick, and he does exactly that. Maybe a chance for the host to whip one in through Denise.
Got to give credit to Dandenong City. Despite going behind, they have not let it perturb them at all. They're still coming at it with a lot of energy, and they want to get that equaliser as quickly as possible.
So Denise looking to curl this one in. One-man wall. Ball looping in high. McShane heads it across, and in the end behind for a goal kick as the attack dissipates. Opening 13.5 minutes, and very watchable game of football here to start the NPL men's victorious season for both of these two sides.
It's been extremely energetic so far, and as I was saying, Dandenong City, despite going behind, haven't let their heads drop. The danger is Melbourne Knights always capable of posing a threat, and that was a threat to John McShane, that tackle there, but play's allowed to continue. Dandenong City awarded the advantage. Timmins, the early cross, can't make its way into the penalty area. Well won that time by Palinic, only as far as Jack Morton. Morton perhaps the surprising inclusion into this side. I think a few eyebrows raised to see him on the team sheet, but the youngster midfielder who spent time in the youth ranks at Melbourne Victory has acquitted himself well early doors, and he's very noticeable with the sharp haircut. Controlled well by Qual, under pressure from Ishibashi. Does well to maintain possession, tried to find the pass inside, and he did so, but not without a strong intervention from Fuki Ishibashi that's allowed Dandenong City another free kick from a deep area.
Will once again be Denise tasked with being the maestro here. Lachlan Keever is having words with Ishibashi. A really industrious challenge from the new Melbourne Knights man. So Denise from deep again. Has a myriad of options to aim for in blue. Whips one in high once more towards the back post, and the referee spots something that he doesn't like and awards a free kick to the visitors. John McShane appearing to be the offender.
Been involved in almost everything, good, bad or otherwise so far, McShane. I think the only part that he hasn't really had an involvement in was the opening goal for Melbourne Knights, but you wouldn't have necessarily expected him to. Cook clears, only as far as Morton. Controlled well by Selic. He's under pressure from Denise, trying to find an opening, can't get it through to the waiting Albano. It's with Semakula, the chance to drive, shifted out to Sumeoro, and once again, we're getting a few stoppages sneak their way into the game, and it's Sean Timmins, the former Melbourne Knights man, who picks up a cautionary card. And this is a free kick in a position of some promise, I dare say, for the Melbourne Knights.
Another yellow card, so second player for Dandenong City now taken into the referee's notebook. Timmins joining McShane, who, like you say, has been involved in quite a lot of this game's early exchanges. A free kick now for Selic to take. Progress through at HNK Šibenik in his native Croatia. And now has a chance to orchestrate something from this free kick. Two-man wall for the hosts. Question is, will he shoot or whip this one in instead? Selic, high towards the back stick and well kept by Formosa, who had his wits about him to claim the ball. towards Pharaoh. Ball goes back in the end to Manos, who did well to rush off his line. Goalkeeper's a goalkeeper, as it's back with Formosa. Cook looking again in behind for Kual. He will get there ahead of Ishibashi. Looks to twist and turn. Crossed in, good ball, and McShane almost had the equaliser. Expertly blocked behind by Aidan Bryce. If not for his intervention, the scores are probably level. An expert piece of defending from the Melbourne Knights stalwart to keep his side in front.
Well, if the goal is going to come for Dandenong City, it looks for all money that it's going to be created between John Kual and John McShane. Another great chance, the cross coming in from the left, and now Dandenong City can continue to search with this corner. Header again, looking for it was McShane. It's been cleared away by the Melbourne Knights. It's here with Slavica. He's under pressure from Sumayoro, and he heads for safety in the form of Pedro Formosa. But they look likely, and they fancy themselves, I think, to grab a goal, do Dandenong City. Nice little twist and turn from Delano Ferro. He's going to chance to drive at Robinson, who the ball deflects off for another Dandenong City set piece.
They're accumulating now, these corners for Dandenong City. It's just a case of whether one can lead to a goal. Denise again to whip this one in. Formerly a youngster at River Plate, and has also spent time at South Melbourne. It looks like John McShane may well be the primary target, as Denise whips this one in again. Low ball and a poor one, headed away by the first man in Semakula. They might well get a chance to reload the attack, and that's a really, really wasteful effort in the end from number 18 in Slavica, as it just relieves the pressure and gives possession back to the visitors.
That's I think we call that a name up in lights kind of moment for a 19-year-old trying that effort from distance. You can't fault the endeavour of Dandenong City so far. As the aforementioned Slavica sent that earlier shot well over the crossbar and commits that infringement over on the far side. Andy Robertson to take the free kick and just playing it short, keeping the ball moving. That's the Steve Bebbage style. And ball launched over the top to no one in particular, collected by Formosa. Frangie will give chase, and the perspective over on this far-hand side made it look as though Formosa might have committed a cardinal blunder. But no, he allowed the ball to cross over the line for a goal kick.
Tell you what, from the angle from which we're viewing this game, that looked like a crazy decision, but Formosa knew exactly what he was doing in the end. Ball up towards McShane, who flicks it on, down to Kalmar. On the volley, it would have been an absolute screamer. But in the end, it was well wide in truth. But again, a player of Nick Kalmar's calibre, you maybe don't begrudge him from having a go from there if he thinks he's got the quality, but in the end, the desired result was not achieved.
I certainly don't. He loves that sort of stuff, doesn't he, Nick Kalmar? He is a specialist in the spectacular. We saw him score a couple of seasons ago a similar kind of goal on the half volley against Hume City back in 2019, and he's got form as well for scoring good goals against Melbourne Knights. Of course, the last meeting between these two sides in the 2021 season, it was the last meeting that they had in the whole competition, was a 2-0 win for Dandenong City with two incredible strikes from Nicholas Kalmar, and that's a feat he's clearly going to try and recreate, as that one's turned over by Selic, who dropped deep, and clearing away is Bryce. Slavica allows the ball to bounce and will send it aloft himself. Kuaku picking up possession and launching it into the heavens. Timmins and Semakula will give chase, and it's the City fullback who emerges with possession. Only for so long, and now Sumayoro has a chance to drive into the open space left by Timmins. He's under a lot of pressure from Kurt Kuaku, and he tried to knock it ahead and said, "I've got you beat for pace, Nathan Cook," but unfortunately the hopeful dash forwards wasn't a very fruitful one for the winger.
Unlucky in the end from Samaoro. Good run, but in the end unable to fashion a cross or a shot. Now Denise. Interesting thing to note that the previous 4 head-to-head games in the league have produced shutouts, 2 for either side. 2 wins apiece in those last 4. The last meeting, as you said, 2-0 win for Dandenong City. 2 goals from Nick Kalmar. They also played in April before that in Melbourne Knights, emerged victorious thanks to a goal from now departed Alan Webb, who scored, of course, last night for South Melbourne in their season opener against Heidelberg United. As it will be Timmins to throw this one in. To the edge of the area towards McShane, who knocks it down. Potentially looking for Kalmar, but didn't end up finding him. Denise heads it forward first time. Kalmar gets up to win his header. And in the end, it's out of play for Melbourne Knights ball.
Had the
time to catch our breath, Lockie.
Yeah, exactly. It's been such an electric game so far, and a good crowd being able to watch a good game of football. And I think up until about probably the 10-15 minute mark, there was still people filing in. Really, really healthy crowd here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex, and everyone in good spirits, of course, these two sides, you know, sharing that heritage and national connection, and a lot of players have travelled between the two sides in days gone by. Of course, Mickey Cholina, a former Melbourne Knights coach, and Steve Bebic, a former assistant with Dandenong City back in their 2018 NPL 2 title-winning campaign. So it's a very competitive but friendly atmosphere at the same pitch. But I think the fans are leaving the competing to Dandenong City and Melbourne Knights. The latter of whom gets set to address another set piece.
So maybe an avenue for the visitors to double their money. It'll be whipped in from the Knights left. Referee just having a quick discussion perhaps. Shibashi looks like he's been sent to the dugout for something or other. Now re-enters the fray and the game will get back underway. Played short towards Irankunda, who's got time and space. Looks to whip one in. McShane and Formosa should be able to work that out, and they do. As they look to get an attack underway. Rolled short. In the end now towards Denise. Kalmar from deep. Looks for McShane, who was unable to successfully hold the ball up. Bryce. Ball now back with Manos, who in truth has had very little to do as it trickles out of play for a Dandenong City throw, taken quickly to Formosa, who goes long, headed away by Bryce. Irankunda does well to get away from one and negotiates Kalmar as well. Out wide from Robertson, and now another chance potentially for the Knights to whip one in. Good looking ball. Formosa doesn't quite get there. And it's just wide in the end. Good work from Frangi, who was looking for a second. Formosa couldn't quite get the ball under his spell. And Frangi from there probably should have scored, but couldn't find the back of the net. And the Knights have to settle for a corner.
Yeah, well, someone must have got a touch in there somewhere. Maybe it nicked off Formosa, because Frangi can't believe that he doesn't have his second. He may still get a chance as Selic whips this one in. Rising is Bryce, his header wide of the frame of goal, but another good chance. They've been few and far between for the Knights, but the warning signs are there for Dandenong City if they don't press forward and get that equaliser that they're so desperately hoping to find.
Must say, the delivery from set pieces from both sides has been exemplary. Of course, none have yet led to a goal. The only goal, of course, coming from open play. As McShane takes it down again. Taking it off him was Samaru, looking in behind, and Formosa easily able to sort that one out. McShane draws a free kick, easy one to spot for Lachlan Keevers, and a bit of afters here. McShane already been booked, Kalmar getting involved. Slavica was getting in, and now the handbags are out here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. This has all of a sudden got very, very ugly. Much ado about nothing, to be fair. And the referee might have a little bit of work to do here. Both sides well represented in the scuffle, which of course is not something that you want to see. Now looks to have broken apart, and Lachlan Keevers might well administer some cards here. Both assistant referees are away from their posts. One returning to the sideline, and the other now backing away himself. And they're talking to, will there be a card? Yes, there will. It's a yellow. And that will be admonished for Trevor Semakula, who becomes the first Knights player with a yellow card in this game.
Clearly, you'd suspect it's something that the assistant referees have spotted in that coming together, or maybe it was the witness statement provided by John McShane that led towards that card. But maybe the assistant referee on the broadcast side, Daniel Isaac, has seen something there that Trevor Semakula has inflicted upon John McShane, or maybe it was for the afters. But it did seem from our vantage point that it was much ado about nothing, and I think that was kind of the irony of it. It was such a big blow-up over something that, from our angle, didn't necessarily seem like it was there.
Final bit of housekeeping. Nick Kalmar also now into the book for the home side. So cards being accumulated in this game, but when all said and done, a free kick for Gavin Denise to whip in. Decent ball, which dropped for McShane. Answers no, and helped away in the end by Frangi, the goal scorer. They look to work the ball forward. Good ball down the line here for Samaro, who's got space ahead of him. Now forced to cut back, finds Frangi. Now on the Knights left, skips past one. Might look to whip one in. Dangerously close to goal, and well claimed from Formosa. Catchable height, so you'd expect him to deal with it, and he did. Rolls it short. Now to Cook, who looks to play it forward to Kuol. Does well. Cook keeps going with his run. Was looking for McShane central. Sliding in Cook again, and he must be in trouble. I tell you what, I do not know how that's not a yellow card. And if I'm not wrong, that would have been a sending off for a second bookable offence. That looked as clear as day yellow as you could think, but in the end, Lachlan Keever's view is the only one that matters, and he's decided not to bring out a yellow card for the second time to Nathan Cook, which would have seen him given his marching orders.
I must say, Ollie, I think Nathan Cook is going to be thanking his lucky stars at the end of this game if he's still on the pitch. Selic dinks that one over the top. Frangi, a golden chance, and he fires wide. Was heading for that near post area, trying to catch Nathan Cook, who was maybe still thinking about how easily he got away with that earlier foul, unawares in the build-up. But you saw that touch of class there from Luka Selic, just dinking it over the top for Frangi to try and connect with, and it was very nearly a second goal for Knights and a second for Anthony Frangi.
I'll tell you what, he's done well to put that behind him as Nathan Cook, because that's a good piece of defending just to worry him out of it. Qual looking to keep possession, ball out of play for a Melbourne Knights throw, but Frangi looking quality for the visitors. It looks their main avenue to goal, of course. Converted the only goal of the game so far. Throw down the line. Cook should deal with it. Major talking point in this first half, the fact that he's not been sent off, and in turn, Dandenong City reduced to 10. Throw taken by Semakula towards Selic. Dandy City win it back. Looking to work it forward. Clipped over the top once again, looking for Kuol. Can he get there? Well played from Manos to rush off his line. Kalmar caught in possession. Melbourne Knights looking to work it forward, out to the right-hand side. Sumayoro, he was brought down and has drawn his side a free kick just forward of halfway.
I think we've seen a bit of that opening frenetic energy maybe settle a little bit as we start to get a bit more attritional and a bit more physical. As Albano pokes back, Selic has Robertson to his left, eventually does work it out to him, and now it's back with Morton. Space to clip a ball in for Albano. The touch was just a little bit errant, and now Kurt Kuaku sending forwards. Qual managing to confuse both of his markers with that little feint. Kalmar fizzes that wide. Denise will have a hard time keeping it in play, and he manages to Timmins under pressure from Semakula, and now a potential for a counter-attack for the Melbourne Knights. It's wide on the right with Anthony Frangi. Semakula taking his first touch. The bouncing ball finds Morton. Frangi looking in the middle for Selic, cleared away by Nathan Cook. That was a dangerous few moments for the Dandy City backline. Melbourne Knights still got that chance to find a second. Early throw, controlled by Selic, heading for the byline. Again, Cook with a good block. Good thing he hasn't been sent off for Dandenong City, because in the last few minutes they have really needed him.
I mean, ever since the red card, he has been a staunch rear guard, and you just think if that decision goes the other way, he's off the pitch, and the Knights have potentially added a second. But of course, he stays on the pitch and has defended well. Corner now from the Melbourne Knights right, whipped it in by Selic, he has, and the Knights unable to work it out. Denise in field, surely a free kick, and in the end, Lachlan Keevers agrees. Iran Kunda bringing Denise down. And so a free kick for Dandenong City. Has been a little bit stop-start in the last few minutes. Kalmar finds Palinic. Back with the former Melbourne City man. '79 appearances in the A-League for Nick Kalmar for Melbourne Heart, then Melbourne City and Western Sydney. And now an overlap on the Melbourne Knights left. Ball with Albano, who looks to drive at Palinic. And good defending in the end from Martin Palinic, who came through the ranks here at Dandenong City. And their homegrown talent doing well when called into action there.
It did really well, did Martin Palinic, not to commit to one way or the other. He just sort of jockeyed, shielded Albano, and managed to see it through. He has got big shoes to fill, the young centre-back, of course, filling in for the absent Steven Topalovic. As Selic, lovely mazy little run, ball forward for Albano. Again, that cross is at the back post, waiting for the likes of Anthony Frangi. It evaded him, collected by Sumeoro. The cross comes in, the bouncing header off the post and into the back of the net, and it's another goal for Anthony Frangi. At times in this first half they've been on the back foot, but they've showed the cutting edge that so far their opponents haven't been able to, and they take a 2-0 lead in the 36th minute of this game.
Brilliant header from Anthony Frangi, and in the end he's been the difference. Great ball in from the right, headed down into the ground, made it impossible for Pedro Formosa to deal with. And his introduction into the NPL Victoria hasn't been an easy one. Quite the contrary for Anthony Frangi, who must be finding this all too easy. A brace already on his debut, and he'll be looking to make that a hat-trick in the remaining 55 minutes or so that's left in this game. Brilliant header. He scored twice. Melbourne Knights have scored twice. In the end, for the moment at least, the home side have drawn blanks. And now they must respond if they're any chance of taking anything from this game. Heavy touch from Semakula, who then makes it work. Sumayoro in field to Frangi, the man of the moment. Out wide via a deflection to Sumayoro, who looks to try and work the ball in field. Frangi, was he taken down? Referee plays a smart advantage. Semakula looks to put it into the middle. Cook again, able to thwart his advances. Back with Frangi, first time ball into the middle. Great ball towards the back stick. The assistant referee on the near side raised his flag, but that was a teasing delivery in nonetheless. Goal wouldn't have stood, but a lot of quality here from the Melbourne Knights, who are really stepping it up.
Yeah, like I said, right in the aftermath of that second for Anthony Frangi, it's just that cutting edge, I think, that's really been the difference so far. When they have had their chances, they really have caused a great amount of threat, and that one was a whisker away of adding more pain to the scoreline for Dandy City, but the offside spotted by assistant referee, the linesman, Daniel Isaac. The Knights again bringing the threat. It's Selic, who's doing well to drop short and receive possession. Plays it square to Albano. That one a little bit too hot for Marth. Keep it in play to Semakula. Driving towards the penalty box, trying to work it through the legs of Sean Timmins. And Dandenong City have that long ball sent forward from Nicholas Kalmar to the feet of Quoll. He's had a quiet last 10 minutes. This is a great chance for him to drive towards the penalty area. McShane was waiting, but a great clearance from Bryce, who has done a good job defensively so far. And now to Sumayoro, heads quickly to Marth. Selic. Robertson under pressure from Slavica. Foot race between Robertson and Slavica. It's the Dandenong City fullback who wins the foot race and puts that out for a Knights throw. They can sustain their pressure. Just seem to be picking back up a gear here at Frank Holohan. They're at Akunda. Robertson just missing that one. And City will have the throw deep in their defensive territory.
I think they'll feel rather aggrieved that they are 2 goals down the home side, but in the end, the facts are what they are, and Dandenong City need to find a way back into this game. Can Timmins provide it? Looks to skip past Semakula and does so successfully. Early ball in, thwarted by Ishibashi. Taken down well by Morton. Really nice bit of skill. He's got Frangi to his right if he wants, who takes over. Takes the ball in field. Looks back out wide for the former Melbourne Victory man. Still Frangi. Skips past Denise. Good ball for Sumayoro. Can he get past Cook? Goes to the byline and checks. First time delivery. Not a bad one, and helped away by Kalmar. Further away in the end. And Knights back in possession of the ball. Bryce looks for Morton and finds him. Goes back to the Melbourne Knights captain, Ishibashi, who hasn't really been troubled after Koala's really faded out of this game. Ball looking long. Well dealt with and played to Kalmar. Good sliding challenge in the end from Morton, who really has acquitted himself well. Well played in the end though by Kuaku. Now with Gavin Denise. Timmins charging down the Dandenong City left. Now back in possession, the former Green Gully man. Looks for Pharaoh, who has been awfully quiet. Haven't really seen a lot from him. But in the end, he can't keep it in play and leaves the throw for Timmins, who will take it into the area. Looks like a long throw potentially towards the front post on an ostensible viewing. Instead goes short after Pharaoh came to help him out. Just about keeps it in play. Timmins from the left, unable to break for Dandenong City. Good pressure by Denise, who's able to win his side of throw-in. It will be Timmins to try and orchestrate something again, possibly from this throw. Will this one go longer? The answer is yes, towards McShane, who was unable to get up and win his header. First time ball back in from Timmins, and he may well have set Melbourne Knights away through Albano, who's charging forward, up and over halfway. Thought he was entitled to a free kick. Lachlan Keevers disagreed. Palinic, Kalmar. Nice bit of interplay from Dandenong City. Cook, who many thought should have been given his marching orders earlier in the first half. Cleared by Formosa. Easily dealt with by Aidan Bryce. Denise with the first time ball. Slavica down the line for Qual. And once again, the Knights move forward. Very end-to-end game of football that isn't showing any signs of slowing down. Palinic back to Formosa. Iradikunda misjudged his jump. Robertson. Can he keep hold of possession? He kept possession for his side, and Albano looked to help him out. Well, back once more to Formosa. Not the best distribution from the Argentine. Trickles out of play for a Melbourne Knights throw, and that is really wasteful from the hosts as we enter the final minute of the 45.
It's not the kind of error you can afford to make when you're already 2-0 down, just giving away careless possession to a Melbourne Knights side who have shown they can create threat out of nothing in their search for a third. Semikula faked the cross, and perhaps he should have gone for it because he immediately turned his pass over. Denise to Qual, who's dropped short. Shimmies around his marker, sends one for Ferrer to chase, but Iradikunda got to it first. Manos pumps into the sky, the setting sun in the background, and a throw deep in defensive territory for Dandenong City.
2 minutes of added time to close out this first half.
So 2 minutes potentially for one more chance for either side. Robertson launching that forwards. Beautiful touch from Luka Selic. And he goes for the first time strike, and it's wide of the frame of goal. But that's the quality that he provides, Luka Selic. Just a deft little control, the little shimmy, and then firing from outside. It took a deflection en route to goal, and so Melbourne Knights will have the corner, but he hasn't been always involved in the play, but when he has had the ball at feet, he's been dangerous, Luka Selic.
Put that first touch in the Louvre, please. Impeccable first touch from Selic. And if he'd have bent that into the far corner, that is the definition of a highlight reel. Unable to do so, and will now take the corner instead. Whipped in, headed away by Kalmar. Iradikunda first time out wide to the Knights left. Shaped back into the middle, blocked away by McShane. Behind for yet another Melbourne Knights corner. McShane so instrumental in an attacking sense. Now getting back and doing his defensive duties as Selic goes over to take the corner. Now from the Melbourne Knights left.
Not going to lie to you, Ollie, I'm still thinking about that first touch from Luka Selic. He'll have a chance to produce potentially some more magic as he gets ready to send in this corner. It's looped high and almost standing up all the way into the back of the net. Formosa was scrambling, and luckily for the Dandenong City keeper and for the rest of the 11, it was the right side of that far post. But Selic, his influence in this game is growing as the minutes transpire.
He really has been a thorn in the Dandenong City side from the last few minutes. Intelligent first touch from McShane to Kalmar. Out wide now, back to the middle towards Kowal, who really ought to have scored. The last action of the first half should have been a Dandenong City goal that would have halved the arrears. Brilliant work from Pharaoh down the right. Great ball in towards Kowal, who really should have scored. It just ends the first half that has seen nothing go right for the hosts. So much play, but no end product, and in the end, that has what has cost them. 2 goals in the end from Anthony Franchi, 2 for the Melbourne Knights, a clinical showing from the former Marconi man. As we head into the break here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex, Melbourne Knights in the ascendancy. Dandenong City 0, Melbourne Knights 2. We'll be back after a short break.
Welcome back here on NPL TV to Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. If you're just joining us, it's the Melbourne Knights who lead Dandenong City, the home side, 2-0, courtesy of a first half brace from Anthony Frangi. There's been plenty of chances traded blow for blow by both sides in the opening 45. But it was the Melbourne Knights who showed the cutting edge where it counted and fancy themselves to hold out, or will fancy themselves to hold out for the next 45 and take those 3 points back to Summer Street. But not if Dandenong City have anything to do about it. I'm Lockie Flanagan, and alongside me for the second half of this game, as he was for the first, is Oliver Walker-Peel. Ollie, do we give Dandenong City a chance of getting back into this game? How do you see it after that first 45?
I don't think they did a lot wrong, other than the fact that they weren't clinical in front of goal, which is, of course, something that they'll have to change. I think in the end it was quite a level half, except for the fact that Melbourne Knights were just brilliant in front of goal, and Dandenong City like that cutting edge, and if they are going to get back into it, they will need to be more lethal in front of goal. But they're not completely out of it yet, the hosts. If that gives any consolation to any Dandenong City fans watching along at home. A third goal might well seal it. It was harrowing towards the top corner, but in the end, looped well over it. Maybe a statement of intent, though. Gian Albano been okay in the first half and looked to stamp his authority on the second half with a goal, but wasn't able to do so. Of course, we did mention that Nathan Cook probably should have been given a second yellow. He wasn't actually booked in the first place. That was Sean Timmins, so we'll set that record straight for housekeeping. So it was Timmins who'd been booked in the first place and not Nathan Cook, we were reliably informed at half-time. So we will just set that record straight ever so quickly, Lockie.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing too, because I would say that one of the players that Dandenong City would most definitely love to have stay on this park for the full game is Nathan Cook. He's made, even though the City defence have still conceded 2 goals, he has made a few crucial blocks that I think have kept it from getting worse in terms of the scoreline.
Still should have been booked though.
Yeah, perhaps you're right, Ollie. But yeah, there's plenty still to fight for Dandenong City, as Quoll just gets the ball trapped under his feet. Loses out to Jack Morton, who's been a surprise starter for Melbourne Knights, but an impressive starter, it has to be said, as that's cut out by Trevor Semakula, launched into the scaffold on the far side for a City throw, which is taken quickly, chested and controlled by Delano Farrow, who did have a quiet opening 45. It was John McShane and John Quoll who combined to do most of the attacking grunt work for Dandenong City in the first half, but certainly Farrow, a player who will look to get himself more involved as the second half transpires. Slavica heads inside for Denise. It was a risky pass, but City have been able to make it work in their midfield third. It's with Timmins, of course, is on a booking, and now with Farrow. Kalmar, a drop short and a little flick ends back all the way back to Pedro Formosa as Knights bring the press through Albano. Good pass and move between Slavica and Gavin Denise. And Slavica goes for the early cross, chested down by McShane. Chance for Quoll. He might have opened up the angle, but I don't think that was the foot that he wanted it to fall to. It's back with Timmins. Again, the cross comes in, chested down. Kalmar on the volley. Wide of the frame of goal. Diving for it was Thomas Manos. He's done that against Thomas Manos a few times before, hitting them from range, plucking the ball out of the air, and I think the Melbourne Knights keeper very relieved to see that end on the other side of the post.
Yeah, I don't think he had that one covered. Not a bad strike, but in the end, wide of target, and Melbourne Knights, as you say, will be counting a lucky start if that was the case. Albano, I think, sold that one to the referee who bought it. I suppose it is a knock to the face, so Lachlan Keever's probably right to stop the game. It's just what the doctor will have ordered, though, for the Melbourne Knights. They don't want this game to be that free-flowing. If they can take the sting out of it and any potential opportunity, I'm sure that they would welcome that. McShane looks back now. They look to get an attack forward. Kalmar can't get away from Albano, who had fouled the Dandenong City man, according to Keevers, who of course has refereed up in the A-League men's.
He's certainly been earning his match fee tonight as well, Lockie Keevers. He's had to use that whistle more than a dozen times tonight. It's been that kind of a game. The energy has been such that challenges have been flying in, fouls have been given away, and I think that frenetic energy, you know, is being fed off by the fans, who are here in good numbers and here in good spirits as well. Of course, these two sister clubs playing this Crow Derby tonight. Always a great occasion. The reverse, or the same fixture last year, was behind closed doors, and very glad to see this one in front of a healthy crowd. As the ball's launched, looking for McShane, he heads, and that was Palinish diving for it. It bounced on the edge of the area. Kalmar fancied it, but it was Semakula who got there first. Back to Ishibashi. Launches into the stratosphere, and Nathan Cook misses it, and this could be a good chance for Melbourne Knights. It's Sumayoro cutting inside. He's bundled over by Timmins. That was a risky challenge for a defender on a card, but he won the ball legally in the eyes of Lockie Keevers and then immediately turned it away. Sumayoro, ball had drifted over the line, out of bounds on that far side. Got a break in play here as Nick Kalmar receives a bit of treatment. He did look to have, as he was sizing up that ball earlier that was sent into the air a few minutes ago on the edge of the Dandy City penalty area, he did seem to limp a little bit as he was running away, and he's fully on the turf now as the Dandy City physio team give him a seeing to.
So Ardik Meti on the far side, removing the bib and getting himself readied. In fact, no, it's not. It's Cooper Legrand, twice capped by Mauritius at international level, who comes on, formerly of Kingston City, and moves to Dandenong for this season, and looking to make an instant impact at his new club. And sporting play from the host to send the ball back to Thomas Manos, who had an easy first half. Don't think he will be expecting much of the same in the second. I think he'll be thinking that he'll have something to do. Selic, who was silky smooth at points in that first half. The ball breaks kindly back to him. Infield to Iran Kunda. Now Denise for Dandenong City. Sidesteps a challenge and looks back for Cook. First time ball towards the substitute in Legrand. Chests it down, but not before the ball had gone out of play.
Yeah, a real shame, obviously, for Dandy City to lose Nick Kalmar to injury. He's a key player and the captain today in the absence of Steven Topalovic for Mickey Cholina. But I'm excited to see what Cooper Legrand can do in his new colours. He was on fire last season, scoring 7 goals for Kingston in the NPL, and is no stranger to the top flight. He's been there previously with Richmond and also with Kingston before their relegation. He's a good technical, skillful player, and I think he can cause some real threat on that left. And maybe the absence of Kalmar pushing Farrow into the centre, that can be a good chance for him to get more involved in this game as well.
Iran Kunda as well to dispossess Denise. Goalkeeper off his line, and in the end it was a speculative effort for Anthony Frangi, but as he has 2 goals to his name, he is the most confident man out there on the park, you'd think, and if you're confident you may well have a shot. If you looks in, as they say, but not on that occasion.
Of all the players to fancy themselves for that sort of thing, I think Anthony Frangi is the one with the most credit and credo to be able to do so, but it does seem like the non-grandstand end is the area for speculative efforts so far today. Neither of them, or none of them so far, have been particularly pretty. Speaking of pretty, that was controlled well by McShane. Legrand is giving chase, and he's picked up possession, cutting it back, trying to get it through to Farrow, but they got bodies where they needed to. Denise opening up the angle, blocked well by Morton. Timmins. Back to Cook. He's under pressure, but manages to find a pass through to Kuaku. This is good from Dandenong City, the pass through from McShane, looking for Cooper Legrand. It just fell apart as they tried to get into the final third, did Dandenong City's attack. Kuaku. Timmins. Denise under pressure, goes straight back to Timmins, and he wasn't in a lot of safety himself as well. Gavin Denise playing the way that he was facing, but maybe not necessarily the right call. Ball is back at his feet, and he has the chance to stride across the turf here at Frank Holohan. Palinish gave that away, but atoned for his previous error. Bumbling its way through the centre of the pitch, and eventually that foul from Kurt Kuaku on Mohamed Sumeoro allows Melbourne Knights a chance for some clean possession through Aiden Bryce. Cut out by Kuaku. Denise looking for McShane. It'll end up with Farrow. Just that front three, the rejigged front three, just taking a little bit of time to settle. And it's going end to end, but not in a particularly pretty fashion in the last few minutes.
Absolutely not, but at least both sides are trying to work their way forward. No suggestion that the Knights are looking to shut up shop early in this second half. Free kick for Dandenong City. Denise, the player, fouled, and he's writhing on the turf. But it doesn't look like the referee will go to his back pocket again. There is a substitution for Melbourne Knights as the fourth official works out the board. We know that going off is Luka Selic, and coming on will be Steve Sokol. We spoke about him off air at half-time, the leading marksman last year at NPL West Australia level. Had some season, did Steve Sokol. 18 goals in 13 starts for Inglewood United in that competition. Now he comes on to try and help his new side out. Ball goes behind. Which way will it go? Behind for a corner, according to Lockie Keevers. Maybe helped out there by the assistant referee on this near side, but it will be a corner as the hosts look to cut the deficit in half. Over to take it is Delano Farrow, who, of course, did cut the ball back for Kual at the end of the first half when he should have scored but didn't. Cook up to win his header, but rather disappointingly from a Dandenong City point of view, out of play for a Melbourne Knights goal kick.
Well, that's a huge substitution for Steve Bebic and the Melbourne Knights, being able to bring off one forward with former Croatian First League experience for the top scorer of NPL WA last season in the form of Steve Sokol. And his goal record is impressive, but something else that's extremely impressive to me about Steve Sokol is his nickname, which is the Falcon. So
I did see that.
Reliably informed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the Croatian word for falcon is Sokol.
That's brilliant.
So, Steve Sokol, or if you're feeling fruity, feeling fancy, you can call him the Falcon. And I think commentators amongst the league will probably be turning to that one maybe a few times throughout the season. And he's got his first taste of NPL Victoria football now, with his side 2 up, but having to do defending at the present moment. Kuaku. McShane losing the header out to Aiden Bryce. Ball drifts wide to Quoll. Shifting in field to the top of the box to Farrow. The 1-2 is a nice one, but the touch just a little bit heavy, and the frustrated kick of the ball into the advertising hoardings from the number 27 says it all, doesn't it?
Great bit of play though, wasn't it? All he had to do was get the ball under his spell, and he couldn't do so. But Dandenong City still alive here, make no mistake of that. behind on the scoreboard, but definitely not out of this one. As Thomas Manos will go back to take the goal kick. New signing at Summer Street from Sydney United in NPL New South Wales, as the flick on was a clever one in the end from Sokol. And Samaoro thought that he'd been taken down unfairly, but Lachlan Keevers disagreed. Formosa throws it out. Slavica skips past one. It's down the line and gives possession away loosely. Back to Manos, who just clips that one out of play and gives Dandenong City possession back, throwing down the line towards Legrand. And he can't keep it in play for long. Looks to pick up the ball quickly and take the throw, but couldn't find a teammate which he liked, so instead left it. And they've won themselves a corner. Good play in the end from Dandenong City to work the ball forward, and they've got themselves a set piece from which they may look to be threatening here.
30 minutes still to play. I think if there was an opportune time to get the goal that would push you back into the game, I think it would be now for Dandenong City, as Lachlan Keevers just sorts out a little bit of a set to that was happening in the penalty area. Suspect that, once again, John McShane may well be the target of this set-piece delivery. It's lofted high. Legrand, the header, looping its way towards the backstick, punched away by Manos, only as far as Palinic. Now it's with Denise. Works his way out of a tight space. And now a great chance potentially on the counter-attack for the Melbourne Knights. As they come forward through Frangi on the right, the ball sent forward for Semikula. It's cut across for John Albano, and a fantastic block denies Melbourne Knights a chance for a third that could have well killed off this game. What a defensive effort that was. Melbourne Knights, though, they'll continue to push the pace. Andy Robertson inside to Radakunda. Well, that was a golden chance going begging for John Albano, the leading scorer for the Knights last season. You would expect him to put that away, but it was an unbelievable defensive intervention there, preventing a third goal that probably would have been lethal.
Yeah, it was Sean Timmins. Brilliant piece of defending to keep his side alive. Albano, who just waited for the net to bulge, but it never did. Sean Timmins take a bow. An intervention that has kept this game live for a little while longer yet. Albano, who in truth should have put the game to bed. Well played in the end from Morton. Finds Robertson, who looks forward. Farrad as well to take it down. Looks forward for McShane, who was so far offside, but there was no one in blue to help him out, and the assistant referee had the easiest job of his night to raise his flag. Melbourne Knights now moving forward themselves through Samaoro. Well, goes further wide, and now to play. Timmins was the man there who helped see it over. It was his block that has kept his side with at least a fighting chance. Palinic put trust in his goalkeeper, but he's done well to get away from it. Denise looks for Kuaku, who gets away from initial trouble, but then gives the ball away. McShane steps in. Legrand looks for McShane again. In fact, McShane's the one arriving in the middle. Denise on the ball. Now Legrand across towards McShane. And well helped behind for a corner to Dandenong City. Blistering pace from Legrand. It's his main asset. And in the end, the ball across wasn't what was needed for McShane. They've got themselves a corner. Dandenong City, another one in this second half as they look to work their way back into the game.
Well, Aiden Bryce just copped a huge bear hug after that clearance from Thomas Manos, and he absolutely deserves it. He's had a fantastic game defensively as the corner comes in. McShane was waiting for it, cleared away at the near post. Dandenong City will continue to attempt to aggress. Denise, oh, that is just unfortunate. The attempted cross into the area, deflecting off a teammate, and that's back for a Knights throw. But again, going back to Aiden Bryce, Obviously, I know McShane's had a few chances in the air, but I think every time there's been a leg stuck out, been a challenge, preventing a cross, preventing a shot on goal, it has more often than not been Aiden Bryce, and he does deserve that appreciation from his goalkeeper, I think, on the evidence of tonight, and I'm sure he's well appreciated by the Knights faithful watching on too.
Faro now with McShane. Pull that wide. Asking along of Slavitzer, but unable to keep it in. Robertson, who left Northwest Sydney Spirit to join the Melbourne Knights. Now Albano cuts in field. Ball played out wide. Is this a chance for the third? Straight at Formosa in the end. An inch wider either side, and that's game over. But in the end, a save you'd expect Formosa to make, and he's up to the task.
Perhaps should have done better on that chance, Sumayoro, and he has another chance to drive. He sends it early. That's for Sokol. Oh, it was a great chance for him to grab a goal on his debut off the bench, and I think maybe the sense of occasion just got to him there because he got the ball a little bit trapped under his feet. And now City move it the other way. McShane trying to get whatever contact on it that he could, and unfortunately it wasn't to the benefit of any of his teammates. Radakunda has his pocket picked by Gavin Denise. He's able to pick it back up. Sumayoro wide to Frangi. Sokol's ahead, and he's given this one to Chase. He chests it down well, works his way wide of Cook, and goes for the little dink. And how about that from Steve Sokol? The man they call the Falcon has soared that ball over the top of Pedro Formosa. And it has been the new faces for Melbourne Knights who have done all the damage on the scoreboard. Melbourne Knights, you'd suspect, putting this game to bed with that third goal. And what a third goal it was from Steve Sokol.
We've seen some belters tonight. Lethal from the Falcon. Stunning chip. Formosa just dozing off his line. And lobbed by the most exquisite picture-perfect chip from Steve Sokol. Substitute off the bench, into the action, and onto the score sheet. 3 goals to good now, Melbourne Knights, and that is game, set, and match, one would think. They smell blood in the water. Sokol again, skips past the challenge and is brought down. Palanic, the offender, who quickly departs from the scene of the crime. But the Knights on fire in the midpoint stage of this second half, typified by the most wonderful of chips from Sokol. Chef's kiss from Lockie Flanagan, and that is about as best as you can describe it. 2 standing over the free kick for the visitors. A 4th really would be a nail in the coffin. It's whipped towards goal, and in the end, not a brilliant free kick, in all honesty, from Anthony Frangi, who has had a good night, but unable to complete his hat-trick. Something that you'd suspect with the result probably beyond doubt that he'll be looking to do. Denise, brought down. Taken quickly. Out to the far side. Ball down the line for Legrand, who looks to work his magic. Forward to Faro. Looks to whip it in towards McShane. Appeals for handball turned down. They fall on deaf ears. And the consolation for Dandenong City is that they will settle for a corner.
I said it about one of their earlier corner efforts. If they wanted to get back in this game, the goal would need to come now. That's doubly true as that one sent cleared away. I think as far as Kuaku, who's calling for handball. And it was on this side, or the right side if you're a Melbourne Knights defender, of the penalty area. It was on the precipice, but it does end up in a free kick in a position of some promise for Dandenong City after that effort from Kurt Kuaku.
I think it is a free kick just outside the box. Lachlan Keevers really did have a decision to make. I don't think it was that far back. to where the ball's been spotted down.
That seems harsh,
And
doesn't
it moves further forward. It looked closer than that to the naked eye, but of course, Lockie Keevers will have a better view than we will. 2 over the free kick. Kuol one of them. It looks like he's left it for Delano. Faro to hit this one. Can he bring his side back into the game? 20 yards out. Slightly right of centre. It's Faro over the wall, not quite. And behind for a corner. So, couldn't quite clear the wall, but in the end, another set-piece chance and another substitute for the Melbourne Knights. In fact, this looks like a double change. In fact, there'll be a change for Dandenong City too. In amongst all this, Kurt Kuaku will be withdrawn. Tassos Hundalas will be coming on as he is introduced. That'll be the only change for the moment. The double change for the Knights put on ice. Ball whipped in. Flatter delivery than most we've seen tonight. As McShane looks to chase it down. Looks for Slavica. Unable to whip in the ball. Initially, not a bad delivery. Ahead of Kuol, and in the end, Manos made a bit of a meal of it, but unable to spare his blushes on his own accord. Morton loses possession towards Kuol, who just couldn't take the ball down cleanly. Robertson again. Good pressure from Kuol. Keeps it alive, but couldn't take the ball with him. Good ball down the line. Chested down smartly from Albano, who in the end was thwarted by Hundalas. And now we will get those changes as promised. Attila Roffley will come on for Anthony Frangi, who won't get the chance to complete his hat-trick. Also coming off is number 10, Gian Albano. Luka Kolic will come on in his place.
Great to see Luka Kolic get the chance to enter in to the first team fold, the 17-year-old. He's been promoted into the senior setup this season. He got to train with the top dogs last year, and now he's fully in the fold. Great to see him on, as well as Attila Roffley getting another chance at the Melbourne Knights. Robertson cleared away that time by Slavica. Robertson on the throw. Sokol has the ball in the corner. And there was some consternation as to whether that would be a corner or a goal kick, and arguing pretty fervently for the latter of those two decisions was the substitute Tassos Hundalas, whose opinion has won out in the eyes of Lockie Keevers. So we enter the 74th minute here at Frank Holohan, and well, that miscommunication and mix-up probably sums up the kind of night that Dandenong City have had, really. Robertson. Sokol. Back to goal. That's the direction in which he heads. Poked forwards by Kolic. And pumped away by Formosa. Only as far as Fuki Ishibashi. Now it's Radakunda. Drags the ball back. Melbourne Knights in control and under no rush. Collected by Cook. Forward to Denise. Pivots inside and finds a clean pass across to Kuol, whose touch wasn't perfect, but he made up for it. Hundalas bombing down the right-hand side. It's 12 against 12. And the 12 of the Melbourne Knights, Andy Robertson, emerging victorious in that 50-50. And I must say, you mentioned earlier, Ollie, about Andy Robertson's history coming from Spirit over in the NPL 2 in New South Wales, and you wouldn't have known he was playing in the second competition over there in a different state, because he has looked right at home in the top flight of the NPL Victoria, doing a great job bombing up and down this left flank.
Putting a performance that his Scottish namesake would be proud of. Been stellar for the Melbourne Knights. Ball upfield. Was there a hand in there? Keevers says no. First time ball out towards Legrand. Has the overlapping run of Timmins, which he elects to use. Ball in towards McShane over his head. Kowal was unable to benefit from that. In the other game in the NPL Men's Victoria tonight, Oakley have got a goal up in their match against Green Gully, and it's Wade Decker, the former A-League marksman, with the goal in that one. Palinic looking towards the Dandenong City right for Kowal, but he was unable to get there. Out wide towards College, and now there's a chance down the Melbourne Knights left. Charging towards goal is Sokol, and well defended to turn it behind for a corner by Martin Palinic. If it gets past him, it's probably 4-0, and it looks like a bloodbath on the scoreboard. 3-0 is harsh on the Dandenong City side, but 4 would have been a travesty. In the end, good piece of defending to ensure that doesn't become the case for the moment at least.
Yeah, you're right, Ollie. It would be, and the scoreline is desperately harsh and unlucky for Dandenong City. But man, Steve Sokol, how hard is it to believe, given the influence he's had in this short time, that he only makes the bench in this side? That is such an exciting prospect, the amount of attacking weapons that Steve Bebic has got to play with this season. As the corner comes in, Bryce rising for it, still in the penalty area. The shot was blocked, and that follow-up effort is wide and not particularly pretty from Mohamed Sumayoro. But as I was saying before the corner, Ollie, if you're Steve Bebic, thinking about the attacking talents he had starting the game, Luka Selic providing a touch of class, Anthony Frangi, of course, grabbing 2, and you've still got the likes of Attila Offley and Steve Sokol on the pine. That's an exciting prospect. Speaking of exciting, Cooper Legrand is gambling on this one, but just a little bit too far ahead of him, and Manos collects comfortably.
Sounds like a bit of an oxymoron this, but it is a bit of a welcome headache, if you will, for Steve Bebic and the Melbourne Knights. An embarrassment of riches, and one of them in Sokol look to turn it round the corner. Robertson. Back now with Manos. Clears it away out of play for a throw-in to the home side, who have got another 12.5 minutes to play out in the 90 plus a chunk of stoppage time. And the scoreline is desperately harsh. They deserve to be beaten, but not by this margin. The Melbourne Knights won't care as Sokol is in possession. Iradakunda, former Western United man. His pass was short. Now the Nice, sprinting forward into space. Looks wide for Legrand, but it's cut out. And Lachlan Keevers, the frustration of all involved with Dandenong City, has blown up for a free kick.
Good chance for Melbourne Knights to eat away a few more valuable seconds and slow things down. But yeah, that Melbourne Knights, they'll have to rotate that front three a lot to keep everyone happy, I think, will Steve Bebic, just for morale purposes. But as we were saying before, it's a welcome headache, a good problem to have, as you said, Ollie. And it's a good thing they're clicking into gear early, because they sort of needed to get this game on the board and get off to a good start, because it's such a hard run they've got lined up for them. Of course, home against Avondale next week. The big game, 7:30 Friday night at Knight Stadium. And how's this for a run of opening fixtures, Ollie? After that home game against Avondale, they'll play South Melbourne, Bentley Greens and Heidelberg United in quick succession.
Wow.
As Dandenong City prepare, or in fact it's the Melbourne Knights who are preparing themselves more changes, Ollie.
Jack Marth is one of them, on for Trevor Semakula. And the other change... I'm not quite sure on who's leaving the field. So Morton's one of them. You've also got McGarry, I think, coming on. But those embarrassment of riches being accessed. McGarry on from the bench, very tidy player at the level. And now comes on. One down in the end by Offley, who's just come off the bench, signed from Pascoe Vale in the summer. That was a free kick for Dandenong City as they look to grab what at this point would most probably be a consolation. Of course, a tough game for them to open up their season, but one that they will not garner any points from. Palanic. And out of play.
Denise. To Timmins. Cooper Legrand dropping off the front line and had himself collected from behind. The ball allowed to continue, but unfortunately in that little coming together, Denise just guided the ball out of play. Talking about it being a consolation goal if they are to score on Dandenong City. But I have to say as well, it would be a consolation goal that they do richly deserve. You know, I think they'll be disappointed by the result, but Mickey Cholina will take plenty of positives as another substitution comes through, and it's quite an attacking one, it has to be said, for Dandenong City. Luka Slavica making way for Marko Delic, who's got goal threat in abundance. Denise fizzing one outside for Delic to chase, cleared away or attempted to by Robertson. Delic fresh off the substitutes bench, raring to go with extra energy, maybe just a little bit overzealous in his physical confrontation with the Knights left back there.
Delic, another one that I was surprised. And the team news was released, surprised that he started on the bench, but definitely has got pedigree. Scored for Hume last season in a game against Port Melbourne. A goal that eventually sealed the win for them at ABD Stadium last year. Going down the line, headed down by Delic, only to find Iradikunda. Sumayoro now eventually back to Manos, who clears away out of play for a throw.
Timmins is the taker of the throw, and he launches it forward to McShane, who's battled all night and got himself into a wrestling battle, really, in the end there, over on the far side. Plenty of, despite the scoreline, positives to take, as we said, for Dandenong City from this game, and they'll have a chance, certainly you think, to get their first 3 points of the season next week, and they take on St Albans Saints. Back-to-back Croatian derbies for Dandenong City to start the season. That game next Sunday, the 27th of Feb at 5 p.m. Good chance for both of those sides to get points and show that they can do a little bit better than their form guides last season. Of course, St Albans and Dandy City, the two who finished in the relegation places, as Offley flicked the ball over the top of Nathan Cook's head and went down looking for the penalty. Maybe should have continued to gamble it, because Lockie Keevers was completely unmoved, and if Attila Offley continued to chase down the ball, he might well have picked it up.
Possible slip there, I'm only thinking, because if it was simulation, you think that Lockie Keevers would have gone to his back pocket to produce a yellow card, so maybe unlucky Offley rather than conniving, but I suppose we'll never know.
The line's too grey sometimes in football these days.
Sometimes. We don't have the interior monologue of Attila Offley. I'm sure he could explain himself, but we can't do that job for him, as Denise looks to turn away from two. Clipped into the middle by Timmins. Ball still alive for Kuol. He goes down. But it's behind for another goal kick for Manos to take. He really has had nothing to do on his NPL men's Victoria debut. Just christening the gloves for the first time in this competition and really hasn't been called into action. As we enter or are about to enter the final 5 of the 90, Manos clears it forward. One down. Played forward by the substitute in Offley. Ball's played short. Good ball forward. Shot to 4. And it's smashed home by Mohamed Sumayoro. And the Knights bench erupts. Lashed home by Sumayoro, who has been rather unlucky tonight in terms of output. He's been enterprising, but finally puts one away. And the Melbourne Knights are 4 to the good.
Let's go!
The Knights fans absolutely loving it. Sumayoro with a cool and composed finish past Pedro Formosa. And Dandenong City will just want this game to end. Harsh on them, but delight for the Knights on the night.
And the murmurs that might have been able to be heard by the viewers from the crowd were Knights are going to win the league. Those kind of claims may be a bit premature, but you have to give them full credit for a fantastic performance in their opening game of the season, the Melbourne Knights. And it was a good finish from Mohamed Sumayoro. And they put themselves under pressure here again, Dandy City, and that's pulled back for a free kick, won by Steve Sokol. But the Knights, President Pave Yusuf, will be well pleased with what he's seen tonight. As that cross comes in, it's missed. Surely this is a chance for 5. And the 5-star performance of the Melbourne Knights is eventually capped off by a 5th goal, and it's one that falls to a youngster. What a story this is. A goal on debut for Luka Kolic. And the good times in this game keep on rolling for the Melbourne Knights. And it was fortunate in the way it fell to the young player, but he will not care one bit. What a moment it is for the youngster.
It doesn't matter what way they come, and on your senior debut for the club, he'd have dreamt for that moment for so long, Luka Kolic. And he's tapped it home. And doesn't his team love it? Ran straight to him. And we are not Dandenong City fans or affiliated with the club one bit, but this has not been a 5-0 game at all. They will have to lick their wounds and go again next week against St Albans. But this really has been a display of finishing in microcosm from the Melbourne Knights. As it's flicked on towards Delic. Well dealt with by Robertson. But all credit has to go to the visitors. They came, they saw, and they most definitely have conquered on this Friday night. As the ball is up high. And headed away at the second opportunity by Palanic. Got more on it after heading the ball up into the air the first time. Denise. Laterally now to Timmins. Wide now to the Dandenong City left to Legrand. Kuol. McShane's there in the middle if you can find him. It's lofted towards the back post. Unable to find Delic, and in the end, the shot was a rather poorly constructed one by Hoondalas. Ex-Trinity Grammar student. Unable to find the net from there. Now the opposite number 12 in Robertson, who now has it back. Bryce leaves it for McGarry, who, like John McShane, is also formerly of Altona Magic. Poorly given away. Legrand, Kuol, back with the Mauritian international, who couldn't find Johnny Kuol that time. Taken down by Sumayoro, goal scorer of one of the 5. Out wide to Attila Offley, who recognised that he was in an offside position. Cook to clip forward. Over the head of Kual. And now the Knights might look forward for a sixth. Taken infield. Great ball in behind. The flag's up for offside. Attila Offley couldn't finish the job anyway, but assistant referee on the far side confident that he was in an illegal position. And so the flag goes up. Free kick for Dandenong City. And in truth, a little bit of respite into what has been a torrid 5 minutes for the home side.
I know it's early doors into the season, Ollie, but I'm just thinking back to the Dandenong City games that I was able to watch, able to commentate last season, and they weren't always capable of attacking threat, but even you yourself would remember commentating that game between Dandy City and Oakley last year, which ended 6-1 to Oakley. That defensive centre has proven in recent years to just be a little bit too soft, and obviously the captain, Steven Topalovic, out indefinitely with a bruised fat pad in his foot, which doesn't sound like a significant injury, but it does keep him out for an indeterminate period of time, and on the basis of the defensive evidence tonight, they could sorely use him.
Tell you what, I did call that game against Oakley, and that was a 5-goal margin. Tonight looks like being a 5-goal margin. I can tell you they've been better than they were that night in Oakley, though they weren't setting the bar high on that occasion. Actually went 1-0 up in that game, and by the time full time had rolled around, that felt like a lifetime ago, as Lachlan Keevers produces yet another yellow card. And there have been a couple of goals to talk about in the other game. It's got to half time, and a really, really pleasing one for Josh Hope and for all fans of Victorian football. A starlet at Melbourne Victory, and he broke through. Has had some time away from the game, and how good is it to see him back. They still do trail, though, to Green Gully. A goal from Daniel Clark put them 2-0 up before Hope cut the deficit back to 1. But on Josh Hope, how good is it to see him back playing football again at any level, albeit at a semi-professional level. Not at the heights he was at with the Victory, but to see him playing football at any level is such a welcome sight. Of course, you can go and watch that game at the conclusion of this one on NPL TV, as McShane stands over the free kick. It's not a bad effort at all. Palmed away in the end by Thomas Manos, and it's taken 92 minutes or so for him to make his first real save. But when called into action, he did a brilliant job. Kual turning and probably should have given it to Coupe Legrand, didn't, and saw his effort sail over the bar.
Thomas Manos, prior to that outstanding save on the back of a strike hit with real venom from John McShane, his biggest job tonight has been to burst his way across the other end of the field and celebrate with his Melbourne Knights teammates. He's provided so much energy in terms of his constant talk, organising things from the back and getting forward to be involved in the celebrations. He's the furthest back, but usually he's the first one there. And finally, after all that, he gets involved as Delic has his cross cleared away by guess who? Aiden Bryce. Kolic. Inside for Sokol. Ball rolled a little turn and he's fouled pretty blatantly by Gavin Denise. And the full-time whistle sounds here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. It's the Melbourne Knights emerging victorious to the tune of 5-0 against the home side, Dandenong City. It's a scoreline that, as we've said throughout on this broadcast, isn't necessarily fair on City, but Melbourne Knights have shown the cutting edge that their Croatian sister club, Dandy City, never could, and they will take very happily those 3 points back to Summer Street ahead of a big game next week against Avondale.
And that will be a must-watch clash, and they've gone into it with some confidence. The goal difference may well prove to be crucial in his 2022 NPL men's victorious season, and they have got a fair buffer. You'd expect they will keep that to the end of the weekend, but a great way to start the weekend for Knights fans across the country and maybe beyond if there are any overseas as well. But brilliant for their club and for their fans. No football for so long. We've been deprived of it for so long. Melbourne Knights back to the league with a bang. 5 goals. Frangi, absolutely superb. Aidan Bryce at the other end. Brilliant to see. Luca College got a goal. Sumayoro chips in as well. And you can hear the standing ovation that the Melbourne Knights players are receiving from their fans on this near side. A well-backed club. And you can see that there. Appreciation from the fans to the players, and from the players to the fans. And it's all said and done here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. A massive win for them. Dandenong City 0, Melbourne Knights 5. Back to Lockie Flanagan for the final word.
Well, the applause and the embrace between the players and the fans say it all. And we'll leave you on that tender, sweet note for Clutch, for NPL TV, for NPL Victoria. I've been Lockie Flanagan. My co-caller tonight has been Oliver Walker-Peel. Plenty of action still to come this weekend in the NPL Victoria. But this is where we'll leave you for tonight. Here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex, it was the Melbourne Knights running out 5-0 winners over Dandenong City.